Hey guys, my name is Maria and I talk about America and its place in the world and what that even means for all of us. And wow, is there a lot to talk about today. So if you're on social media at all, I'm sure you know about the ongoing question of whether TikTok is gonna survive or not. That's something I've been wondering too, especially after last week. So if you didn't know, last week Trump issued an executive order regarding TikTok, or more specifically regarding TikTok's parent company, which is called ByteDance. So basically the executive order that Trump issued last week says that because Chinese apps threaten the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States, any transaction by any person, and that's taken directly from the executive order, with ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company, would be prohibited within 45 days. And trust me, we're gonna get into that. But first, if you're not completely sure or kind of wondering what executive orders mean, I suggest that you check out my video from last week. In it, I talk about the power of the president and how it's balanced out by the power of other branches of government, and I go into specifically executive orders and what they mean. It's linked below. Definitely check it out first and then come back to this. So what exactly does the TikTok executive order mean? Well, that's the question that everyone is asking. And if you've seen my videos before, you know that I try my hardest to be objective and to be forthcoming about my biases. So I'm going to try to do that here. But I think the thing about this executive order that is objectively bad is that it is both aggressive and vague. And those are two things that don't really go very well together for something as legally binding and impactful as an executive order by the president. It's aggressive because it specifically calls on private entities, so private citizens of the US and private companies, to take action by not engaging with ByteDance and by extension with TikTok. It's arguable that TikTok, at least right now, is like the most beloved social media platform in America. It's definitely one of my favorites. I know a lot of people who love it, a lot of friends who get constant TikToks from me who probably don't watch them. I understand it's a lot, but basically TikTok is very well loved and widely used. So the executive order is bold. But it's also vague because the language used in this executive order is open to wide arrays of interpretation. This order could just as easily be interpreted as companies are not allowed to advertise on TikTok, as it could be interpreted as no one is allowed to download or use or advertise on TikTok. There's no specificity about what transaction means as far as this executive order goes, which leaves a lot of room for contemplation and confusion, which for an executive order that's supposed to take effect in 45 days is not great. I'm not a lawyer, like not even close, thought about it. Not for me. Definitely not for me, at least not right now, but we'll see. Anyway, but even I, a very much non-lawyer, know that you have to be specific when drafting or creating something that's legally binding. Otherwise, you can't really legally bind people to do the thing that you're asking them to do because they don't know what that thing is. And that's especially important when the legally binding, legally enforceable action you're taking involves other people and other companies. And especially when that legally actionable thing is an executive order. So does Trump's anti-TikTok executive order really mean the end of TikTok? Well, not really, but maybe is the best I can do. Based on what Trump himself and his senior officials have said, it seems as though what he wants out of this executive order is for private companies like Apple and Google not to have TikTok listed on their app stores and to remove TikTok from users' devices, unless TikTok is acquired by a private American company like Microsoft or Google or Apple, so that it's no longer owned by ByteDance, which is a Chinese company. These specifications are kind of speculation. Again, what the executive order bans is any transaction by people and companies. But are these transactions monetary? Are these transactions social? Is downloading TikTok and just scrolling through it for free on your phone counted as a transaction? We don't know. And the justification for this entire action is national security. So is TikTok really a measurable threat to our national security? So here's the thing. This whole executive order hinges on the idea that ByteDance, a Chinese company, is taking data from American users and effectively selling it to the Chinese government. Trump considers this to be a major national security issue, and given the rocky relationship between the United States and China for years now, this could be a valid concern. If it's true. As far as I know, beyond the fact that ByteDance is a Chinese company, there is no solid evidence of cyber espionage through TikTok. That doesn't mean that it's not happening, just that we have no concrete proof that it is. What we do have proof of is that social media platforms have absolutely been used to mine and track data from American citizens by the American government. And we've all seen like the My FBI Agent memes. I think mine is quaking right now. But the agency that really came under fire for this a few years ago wasn't the FBI, it was actually the NSA. And the NSA was exposed by whistleblower Edward Snowden. I can make a whole video about that entire situation. It's wild, but Snowden was essentially a private contractor who worked closely with the NSA and who throughout his tenure downloaded a bunch of different documents effectively proving that the NSA was utilizing social media and internet data and usage to understand American citizens a little better. And not just American citizens, but American users and foreign officials as well. Snowden no longer lives in the US. I believe he is currently in Russia. And the point of this video is not for me to sit here and make any moralistic claims about that. And I'm not saying at all that the US government's use of social media data has the same implications for national security as the Chinese government's use of Americans' data. But I am saying that social media and the internet at large are absolute gold mines of information about the American people. And they're gold mines because of how much freedom of expression exists on the internet for American users. You know, from a speech perspective, the internet is virtually unregulated, and that means that people can and do express themselves fully on it. And even those who don't take it upon themselves to, you know, make political videos on YouTube or talk about their opinions on the internet, they have usage data. You know, they navigate to the websites they like, they buy the things they like the things they like on Facebook. The internet provides a very holistic profile of the preferences and behaviors of virtually every user on it. The question of this TikTok thing isn't one that's limited to a national security perspective. I think it's impossible to separate this conversation about Trump's executive order regarding TikTok from a broader conversation that we're having and have had for years now about freedom of speech. The question becomes, is taking a drastic measure to ban an entire social media platform based on the speculation of potential espionage a violation of Americans' free speech? Look, if I could answer that question, I wouldn't be sitting here making YouTube videos from my home office. I'd be making them from the Oval Office. Just kidding. I'm Brazilian. The struggle between the idea of national security, or even more broadly, nationalism versus free speech, is by no means a new one, and it is by no means currently limited to the TikTok conversation. From very passionate, long-running debates about flag burning to what's going on with federal troops in Portland as we speak, it's a very contentious and relevant question. And no matter where you fall on the spectrum of free speech versus national security, whether you think those two are always at odds or hardly ever at odds or never at odds, no matter where your opinion falls on this question, I think it's more important than ever to be vocal about it. The best way to protect your freedom of speech is to exercise it, even if it's on a small scale, you know, even if it's on a YouTube video that 2 people are gonna see. My opinion is that the freedoms of speech, religion, the press, and the right to assembly are the first freedoms that were guaranteed by our founding fathers in the Constitution for a reason. These freedoms comprise liberty. They enable the pursuit of happiness. Without them, neither of those could exist. They are foundational to democracy, and more than any federal balance of power ever could, they enable the people to keep their government accountable and to have dialogue with their government on a broader scale. I'm sure this isn't the last we're going to hear about developments with Trump's executive order and what that means for TikTok. I don't know what it's going to mean for TikTok. I sure as don't have all the answers. None of us have enough information about ByteDance's user data and the way it's been employing that user data to draw any concrete conclusions about national security. We just have our Constitution and the foundational rights that it promises to every American user. And that should be enough. For me, that's more than enough of a baseline for my opinion about this executive order. And I'm not going to say I look forward to it, because I don't, but I'm curious to see how this continues to develop. And I really hope TikTok doesn't go away. Thank you guys so much for watching. If there's anything else that you would like me to cover about this or about the stuff that's going on in our world, please let me know. I know that there is a lot happening in the world right now. I wanted this week's video to be a little bit lighthearted. Lighthearted. I don't know what it says about me or about the world that there's enough going on that I thought talking about a very controversial executive order dealing in espionage and questions of freedom of speech and national security was the lighthearted thing to talk about, but I guess that's where we are. Because I know I need it. Maybe some other people do too. With that being said, there are going to be some links to donations below for Lebanon and a variety of other causes that are shaping the world as we speak. Thank you so much for watching. Again, give this video a like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you next Tuesday.